Alright, so the last video talked about how to do orbital notation, and this video is going to talk about how to do noble gas notation. And noble gas notation is just another way to shorten the configuration. In other words, instead of writing this lengthy configuration, and in reality this is not long, remember that they get longer. Just keep in mind how many elements we have on the periodic table. Like here, it shows that it can go up to 118. So just imagine writing a configuration for 118. Remember, this is only 16, so we get lengthier and lengthier, right, as we go through the periodic table. So now, how do we make it to where we can shorten that configuration and not write that much? Okay, so we use the noble gases. Just a reminder, the noble gases are the very last group on the periodic table, and you're only going to use those. Okay, so I cannot emphasize that enough. Only those. All right, so pretty much what you do. So here's a configuration for sulfur. I'm going to write it over here again. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p4. Okay, so now, again, this is my example for sulfur. And sulfur is element 16, so it has 16 electrons. Okay, so when you're doing noble gas, let's find sulfur. Here it is. You want to find the noble gas that is closest to sulfur, or whatever element you're doing, right? But less than that atomic number. So I would say, oh, 18 is really close, but it's higher than sulfur. So again, you want to find the noble gas that's closest to it, but less than 16 in this case. So that one would be neon, and it has 10 electrons because it's atomic number 10. So what you're going to do is on the configuration for sulfur, you're going to get the first 10 because that's a noble gas or that's a configuration for neon, or that would be. And what you're going to do is you're going to replace those with the symbol for that noble gas in brackets, and then just write whatever's left over. And that's it. So what you're pretty much doing is just shortening what you have to do. And especially if you're typing this on the computer, it's very helpful because you don't have to do all these little superscript numbers, which we've talked about in class that they're not fun, right? So now, we're going to go ahead and do another one because you might be asking, well, yeah, that's shorter, but now you're pretty much asking me not only to do this, but not to do another one. So that's probably more work than I want to do. Okay, well, there's a way of doing it without necessarily doing that part. And not necessarily, but without doing that part for sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick another one. And I'm going to go ahead and go with, let's see. Let's go with... Let's go with arsenic, As. So As is element 33. So my first question is going to be, which noble gas is closest to arsenic? So which of these is closest to arsenic but less than 33? So the obvious answer is 18, right? Argon. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and write down the symbol for argon. On the side note, I'm just going to put that it's 18 electrons, okay? And I'm going to continue that by asking the next question. What row is arsenic on? So row is horizontal like this, and it's on the 4th row. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4th row, right? There it is. Okay, so you're going to put the number 4 because it's on the 4th row. And every time you put that number, you're going to start with the letter S because that's the lowest configuration, or sublevel, I'm sorry. So remember that S from what we wrote, jogging back our memory, right? S's can only hold 2 electrons. So I'm going to put a 2 here. So you're counting this 18 plus 2 more, that's 20, right? But you need 33. So your question is, okay, so what comes next? Well, here's what you do. you go back and use your off-bar diagram, and then you look for forest 2. Forest 2 or the S's, when we do noble gas notations, will always be the last ones. So you just have to go to the next arrow. But here's forest 2. So we go to the next arrow and it's 3D10. So remember, we already have 20. If we do all 10, that would be 30. Okay, so 3D10. We need 3 more. So we go to the next one and it's 4P6. We don't need all 6. So just like I said before, only what you need at the very last one. So it's 4P3. Okay, that is it. You didn't have to do the electron configuration. All you had to do was figure out which noble gas was closest, what row is it on, and using the off-bar diagram. Okay, but it's a lot shorter than you writing everything else. So we can pretty much do any element on the periodic table instead of writing everything. Okay, so let's do another one that's a little bit more challenging. Like, not challenging as far as it's not necessarily more difficult, but it's just longer. So let's say we decided to go with gold, AU, which is element 79. Okay, same thing. I put down that it's element 79. What's a noble gas that's closest to it? Okay, xenon is closest to it, but less, right? So xenon in brackets. I'm going to go ahead and put down that xenon is element 54. Okay, what row is gold on? That was the next step. It's on row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's on row 6, right? So we put the number 6 and always put the S to begin with. And S's can hold 2. Okay, 54 plus 2 is 56. We need 79, right? So I'm just going to write down we have 56 so far. So now I go over here on the off-bar diagram. I look at where 6S is. Okay, where is 6S? There it is. And so the next one is 4F14. So 4F14. I'm going to add to see how much I have so far. 6 and 4 is 10, 5, 6, 70. Okay, I have 70. I have 9 more to go. So that wasn't enough, right? So I go 5D. Okay, and that one is going to be 9 more, right? We don't need all 10. So this is going to be one of the exceptions, and I thought it'd be okay to show you why there is an exception. But in chemistry, sometimes we have to borrow. And the way it works is they're seeing it. Imagine it's orbital notation. Remember, D has D sublevel has 5 orbitals, right? Okay, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and then our very last energy level is 6S, right? And it has 2. 1, 2. Okay. Well, it's more favorable to make sure that the previous energy level is full if it's close to being full by 1 or close to being full, half full, by 1. It's more favorable to borrow from the very last energy level. So you know how this is 2? We can go ahead and borrow and say we're going to take you out of the way and we're going to put you over here. So this would make this 5D10 and 6S1. So you're probably asking yourself, okay, why is that so confusing? When do you do this? You only do it whenever you're 1 away from being full in the previous energy level, or you're 1 away from being half full. So either your D sublevel is at a 4 or at a 9. So if it's at a 4 or a 9, you're going to borrow from the energy level that's the highest, right? So this is just for the previous, but that would be the exception to that. So that means that our configuration would then change into being 6S1 and 5D10. And that is it.